Hello and welcome back to True Crime Guys podcast. I'm your host, Michael, and of course, Andy's here with me tonight.
It has been so chilly, Michael. I have actually been like bundling up in here
Isn't
now
it
lately.
nice though? I love this time of year, man.
I feel like
early fall.
It's. I feel like it might be fake fall sometimes still. I keep looking at those.
I think we're good.
I look at that forecast and it'd be like, 60, 60, 80, 60. Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. What are you doing in there, 80?
Who's having a hot flash now, Mother Nature? Go away.
I've looked ahead a week. I think we're okay.
Oh, we better be.
I'm gonna jinx it.
You fucking better. I will blame you. I will call somebody official.
Somebody. I mean, somebody's controlling the weather, right? That's what they're saying on social media. You got to straighten this shit out.
Somebody. Got storm out there.
Get summer out of here.
The X-Men are real.
But guys, thank you for joining us again for another episode of True Crime Guys. And I must remind you that you can catch these very episodes early and ad-free with some bonus content, right, Andy? I think what did we do? We jacked our jaws for about 15 minutes before we cranked this thing
something
on.
like that.
Yeah, something like that. So there's some great bonus content for this one. We talked some current video games we're playing and that kind of shit.
Yeah.
But you can always check that out on Patreon, patreon.com/truecrimeguys. And don't forget, here on the free platform, we have tons of other content for you to binge for your listening pleasure, like our other show, Strange and Unexplained, wherever you listen to podcasts, as well as a new show here to TCG Network, Cryptic Soup, hosted by Thina and Kylie. New episodes of Cryptic Soup come out every Wednesday. Make sure you give them a follow on Instagram as well, at Cryptic Soup Pod. So Thina and Kylie are helping us out around here at True Crime Guys, and we are happy to have them. They're quality content. They do quality research, thorough research.
Oh, yeah.
And you guys you'll be hard pressed to find a better show. Also, subscribe to our YouTube and give us a follow on social media as well, at True Crime Guys. And you'll see the logo on the YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe and check out our reels and shorts and Strange and Unexplained in video form as well.
Mm-hmm. Give us some likes. Give us some comments on there. Give us some suggestions.
Why not? Suggestions. We always love suggestions for Strange and Unexplained because we have such a wide variety of topics that we can talk on there. We talk everything from missing persons to alien encounters.
Paranormal.
Yes, paranormal. Just weird unsolved cases. All kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Obvious murders that were not, where people were not convicted.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff. So, Strange and Unexplained until now.
It's right there in the name, okay?
It's ironically. But today, here on TCG, we are talking the case of Lois Riess. Lois Riess was a fun-loving grandmother of 5 who loved spending money. Buying things for her family. And she was also a local bowler and was known for her good cooking. Well, at least in Blooming Prairie, Minnesota, Andy.
So far, it sounds like a grandmother to me. That sounds like a pretty normal grandmother,
she is a grandmother, yeah.
So far, you're just listing
normal?
Just like...
I don't know about that.
She's got the little bit of a cool grandma, good bowler. Everybody likes a good bowling grandma.
Right, but she's got this one little flaw on her resume here, because police discovered her husband, David, shot to death in their home in March of 2018. And, that led to them finding out the truth about Grandma Lois, Andy.
Not so much a cool grandma?
Not so cool. Not so cool. I'm sure her grandkids still think she's pretty cool.
What's her last bowling game score? I'm just saying.
We'll get to it. But fast forward to now, okay? Lois is now 62 years old, and she's in prison for not 1, but 2 murders, Andy.
Wait a minute.
And so much more. She's been dubbed the Killer Grandma, Fugitive Granny, and my personal fave, Losing Streak Lois.
That just sounds like a bad high school nickname from like the 80s.
It really does, but it's the most fitting. This is really a crazy story about love, hate, addiction, and murder, of course. This is the Lois Riess murders. Andy, roll that intro.
She literally snapped. My whole family is in shock. Nobody ever suspected anything like this. I'm still shocked. It's a bad movie. I feel like I'm gonna wake up and it's gonna be, back to normal. But it's not. She was a caring, always put herself second and us kids first. Gambling's a terrible thing where it can suck people in and destroy lives. Her mannerisms are all different. I mean, she's a totally different person. I just felt really bad for my mom. I felt like she was alone and desperate.
If you could talk to her right now, what would you say?
I just told her I loved her.
All right, so Lois was born in 1962 in Rochester, Minnesota. And she was 20 years old when she married David Riess. He was a fellow Rochesterian. Anyway, he was also from Rochester.
It's like an equestrian, a Rochesterian.
But David was also in the Navy, and he was stationed in San Diego at the time. Now, after David got out of the military, the young couple moved back to their hometown in Minnesota and decided to start a family. They ended up having 3 children and 5 grandchildren. Now, in 2005, they moved roughly 40 miles to Blooming Prairie. And that's where David opened a waxworm farm, and Lois ran a daycare out of their home.
That seems
That's right.
like
This is such a weird passion. Like, this was apparently David's passion, man, to sell bait and tackle.
I see. Okay, when I saw a waxworm farm just in the timeline, for some reason I saw that their descriptions of their jobs, and it just made me think of like a weird House Hunters episode where they're just like, "My husband's a waxworm farmer, and Lois runs a daycare at their homes. Our budget is $5.2 million."
Exactly.
It's just one of those weird jobs that for some reason, what?
Waxworming is very profitable.
Yeah.
Apparently. What is waxworms, honestly?
I have no idea. I'm assuming they're probably one of those worms that like do a bunch of like the thread stuff. Maybe I see. Wax moths. I've seen some things like that. They look just like that. I'm guessing.
Oh yeah. Oh okay.
So yeah, I guess he was really trying to run like a bait and tackle shop because you can just buy them all in like different quantities in like pre-made containers.
Yeah.
Like it's some pimento cheese.
Okay.
Ugh. Actually, that just made me think of pimento cheese right now, but it was all moving.
I've always called these mealworms.
It looks
not
like
waxworms. I've always called them mealworms because they'll eat through anything, dude. They can eat through plastic, digest it, turn it back into freaking shit that can degrade. They can eat through styrofoam.
Damn.
Yeah. These things are no joke.
The perfect organism.
Yeah, something like that. But anyways, they've now moved to their new home in Blooming Prairie. You know, David's running the waxworm farm and whatnot. It was actually a pretty good size establishment. I watched a little documentary about it, and they had pictures of it. It was pretty. It looked like a pretty profitable place. It was much bigger place than what you would think.
Yeah, I don't think you could just have like your own it's like an ant farm where you have like one thing. It's like a whole fucking room of these things. I'm guessing,
Well, I
right?
mean,
like aquariums of these things.
Yeah, I guess it's a whole store.
Yeah,
Like it's legit. So they seemed like they were doing great, and they were seen out about in town, going to restaurants, having dinner as a family, and everyone who knew them thought things were great. But apparently behind the scenes, there were quite a few signs that things were kind of headed south, like Lois's gambling addiction for one. Also, authorities investigated Lois for felony theft in 2015 after she stole money from her disabled sister. She claimed that her sister was mentally unfit to take care of herself, and she got power of attorney over her own sister to gain access to her part of the inheritance. Bro, she Britney Spears'd her.
dude, I hate how sometimes the legal system have these weird loopholes. Or I've seen so many cases of people like sneakily taking power of attorney over some family member, and just
because she had already blown through her inheritance gambling. She wanted her sisters now.
Yeah, I just hate the fact
that's
that
insane.
people can still figure out ways to do that. Just like get power of attorney over a different family member.
Yeah. And check this out. She was never charged criminally, but a civil judgment determined that she owed her sister $100,000. Now, this was back in 2017. So it took them 2 years to sort that out. So check this out. But she stole $200,000 from her.
Okay. So what? They had to like settle for inflation? What? The interest is here?
So basically, for fighting this 2 years in court, she made $100,000.
Yeah, she still had to, depending on how much she blew through already, though.
Very true. Maybe that is why they didn't force her to pay back. She probably already blew the other 100,000.
Yeah,
She's
she
just
probably-
like, you're going to give the rest of the fucking money back.
Yeah, or at least what you can scrounge up.
Exactly. Now, some people blame Lois's gambling habit for David's murder, or for at least leading up to it, and for most of the turmoil in their marriage altogether, honestly. Lois alleges, on the other hand, that she suffered years of abuse in their relationship, and she just snapped, she says. She also said that she suffered from an unspecified mental illness and had attempted suicide in the past. I don't know how many times.
Okay.
So we'll see. On March 11th, 2018, she and her husband had a prolonged argument. Apparently, something about leaving their grandson's basketball game early. I don't know. I guess maybe they got into it at the game and had to leave early.
Yeah, probably.
The articles are pretty vague. But during this argument back at their home, David handed Lois a .22 handgun and said, "Why don't you just kill yourself and don't mess it up this time?"
Okay, allegedly. Yes.
So Lois took the loaded gun and shot David instead, twice.
I mean, don't mess it up this time, I guess.
Here's a quote from her. She said, "He was right in front of me. I looked at him in the heart and I shot him." Right? That's such a weird phrase, right? I looked at him in the heart.
Yeah.
It's a weird phrase. I get what she's saying. She's trying to say, like, I focused on hitting his heart with the bullet and I shot him.
Looked at him looked right at his chest and shot.
Exactly. And immediately after shooting her husband, she dipped out. She hit the road. Now, after David's murder, Lois transferred around $11,000 from David's business account to a personal account and then wrote checks to herself, forging his signature, obviously, on 3 different checks to get the money just to her.
Mm-hmm. Just to cash them, basically.
Right, exactly. And it wasn't long before she took that money and went straight to a casino. She was spotted at Diamond Joe Casino in Northwood. This is in Iowa. So this is just over the state line, I believe. So check this out. You have to, just from this alone, you have to think, dang, maybe the gambling addiction is the reason for the murder.
Yeah, at this point.
Holy shit. If the first thing you do after killing your husband is get a bunch of money from his account and go gamble, not get a bunch of money and go dye your hair and hit the road and freaking, you know what I'm saying? Get some fake ID or whatever the fuck and get out of here. You get the money and go gamble.
And you go like right across the state line. It's like you said.
She was a regular at this place.
Yeah, it's not like you took the money and you flew to the Cayman Islands and you flew to like the Atlantis Casino or something. Like you flew to some like far and away place and then started gambling.
She just drove to the place she always goes and gambles.
Yeah, that right there is like the behavior of like a drug addict, of being like, I want this fix so bad. I need the money so that I can go to my guy and get my drugs and get it right where I need. I know it's regular. I can get what I need.
Yep. And she was such a regular there that was the first place the police checked, but unfortunately they did not get there in time. She was already on her way down to Florida. She was headed down to Fort Myers Beach, where she met and became quick friends with a 59-year-old woman. Her name was Pamela Hutchinson. They were at a timeshare complex is where they met. A woman who had strikingly similar hair color, skin complexion, and body type to Lois, Andy. That's crazy, right?
Wow.
It's just like, you look like me. Well, I think we'll be friends.
I just
right? I have no other intentions.
Yeah, I just imagine this person just being just like looking her up and down just repeatedly. It's like, yeah, what's your name? Mm-hmm. 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 What's your shoe size? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Is that your natural hair color? Just curious. Cool. What's your ring size?
How tall are you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Can I see? Can I see your teeth? Can I see your teeth? Just real quick.
Exactly.
Just starts bringing like a tape measure and just wrapping around her like she's fitting her for a dress.
You know what? Just try on my jacket. Here.
Yeah.
Could you put this on? Let me see how you.
Here, can we switch wallets for a second?
Look at us, twins. Good gosh. So yeah, she friended this lady for days.
Yeah, you probably needed to try and figure out as much as she was. I already know where this is going.
This is heartless.
But this is like
you know where this is going. This is heartless.
And you've seen like she's trying to learn as much as she can about this woman in a few days.
Yes. Because just a few days later, on April 9th, this is 2018, Hutchinson was found dead from a gunshot wound while workers were checking the random units for water leaks. So, meanwhile, Lois had already hit the road with her new identity.
Yeah.
Of course. She was withdrawing money from Hutchinson's account and using her credit cards all over the place. And that's exactly how the police were able to catch up with her. Unfortunately, it's like, duh, Lois.
Yeah.
But I think she thought because she was moving so quickly that they wouldn't catch her. And also, during this time, she was also looking for another victim.
Yeah.
I don't know how they were able to figure this out, and I can't remember the victim's name or the other would-be victim's name, and it really doesn't matter, I guess. But somehow the FBI had detained that this person was going to be her next victim. I don't know how, but anyways. So I guess that was her plan, and she was going to find another woman that fit the profile, get rid of her, and then hopefully no one finds her body long enough for her to get out of here, head to Mexico.
I guess, but the same, because you see the pattern though, and you see the behavior is so kind of sporadic that it's almost like she's not really planning that far ahead.
Right.
Because she was like, you could tell she kind of like threw this plan together almost on the fly of like, I met this woman. She looks very similar to me. She seems like maybe I could just like take her identity and I could disappear. I could just become her. I could live her life. But then you realize that she's not like an assassin. So she's not someone who can like, Jason Bourne her way and like take this person, hide the body, take their identity and disappear. It's like she shot this woman and didn't know what to do. Like just left the body like in the unit and tried to run away as fast as possible.
She left her husband in the bathroom as well, and she killed this woman in the bathroom.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she hit the road. But you know what? If they weren't looking for water leaks in those units, how long would it have been before someone found her? And how far down the road would she have been? Like that's just a lucky break. There's another lucky break later on in this case.
Possibly this was a timeshare place at the same time, so it's like she, depending on what her stay would have been like, there's probably some housekeeping that would have come in at some point and maybe taken care of some of these things. So like I said, you can tell she wasn't planning long term. She wasn't like, I have to make this person disappear so that I can become this person.
Exactly.
She was trying to get away just enough to then maybe lose him again or do this again. Like there was no real, you could tell there's no long-term planning here.
No, I feel like she just wanted to get some money to go gamble.
Yeah. She thought she could
Yeah.
get some more money out of this woman's account. Or maybe she could go to a casino, make more money, and then that would set her up.
Exactly.
And then,
you just need to hit that one.
Yeah, it's that one big break.
Now, all in all, Riess had stolen Hutchinson's credit card and her car and withdrawn more than $6,000 from her bank account. Authorities were now in a race against time, like we was talking about earlier, to find Lois because, Lord knows she's running around trying to find somebody else.
Yeah.
So this is a quote from one of the detectives. He says, "She looks like anybody's mother or grandmother, yet she's a cold-blooded killer. The suspect's resources will run out, and she may become very desperate, and she could strike again." And I agree. I think she would have.
Oh,
She has no other choice, especially if you're running around using credit cards.
Yeah.
They can trace that shit.
Yeah, because like I said, there was no long-term planning with this. This wasn't some woman who had, laid this long groundwork to take all this money and then kill her husband and disappear. She killed her husband in like a spur-of-the-moment decision and then tried to get his way with as much money as she could.
Yep.
And then disappear.
And that's what she's doing now. And she's taking all this stolen money and heading right to where she always does, Andy, once again.
A 7-Eleven?
No, well, maybe first. Get some gas. Fill
Gotcha.
up. Yeah. But then a casino.
Right on, still.
Right. To the Coshada Casino Resort in Kinder, Louisiana, to be exact. So she's heading north now.
I don't know why. Just as soon as I saw Louisiana in there, I was like, I know the way you said it, but I feel like it's pronounced with something like Coshada, like some Coshada.
It's definitely
some Coshada.
It definitely needs more location.
I don't know how it's supposed to be pronounced, but I feel like that's how they say it down there. Like some Coshada.
Coshada.
I don't know what that's all.
Anyways, she's in Louisiana now. Okay, where she actually claimed a jackpot winning here. But she did it using her own ID and social security card.
God, the endorphins were going so high. She's like, I finally did it.
I just want to make sure I get this.
Yeah,
jackpot,
I need to.
Right?
Like, okay, do you need my real one, or can I just give you my real one?
You need real one. Okay, real one. Okay. So the police were obviously able to confirm that she was there and at what time. So now she's headed west, and she's headed into Texas, where she evaded detection for more than a week, honestly, until April 19th, when police received a tip that Lois was at a restaurant in South Padre Island, not far from the U.S.-Mexican border. See, this is why I think she was going to Mexico. Okay. The restaurant owner saw her and recognized her from a local news report that he just watched. And it's a funny story, actually. Apparently, he talked to some of his coworkers, right? And he was like, "That's the lady from the news. Yeah, that's her. That's the people that the police. That's the lady the police are looking for.
That's that killer
grandma."
grandma.
And his coworkers were like, "No. It just looks like. How do you know?" He's like, "I got a hunch."
I just feel it. She's looking at me weird.
Exactly. So the restaurant owner saw her, recognized her, and he called it in. And 2 undercover officers showed up first, and they too confirmed Riess's identity before the feds showed up and arrested her peacefully.
You know what I was wondering about the casino dealings?
What's that?
It's like, I wonder if just legally, this might be an insurance question. What does a casino have to, does a casino get the money back if they, pay out to like a wanted criminal who's like, and then gets arrested like shortly after? Does like, what happens to that money? Does the casino get that back? Because it's like, well, that person wasn't actually eligible for that money, so we get it back, right? That's, what are you going to do with it? Come on, my money.
Right? I don't know.
Yeah, it's like, do you get an insurance clause for accidentally paying out to wanted fugitives?
I have no idea. That's a good question. Probably not.
Yeah, it's just like, well, you should have checked the ID, bitch.
Yeah, seriously. So following her arrest in Texas, Lois was extradited back to Florida, and in December of 2019, she pled guilty to killing her doppelganger, Hutchinson. And because of her cooperation with the prosecutors, the state would not seek the death penalty for her. And of course, she admitted to killing Hutchinson just because she looked like her.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, this was all spur of the moment. You
Absolutely.
can very much tell that this woman was.
She spent time with this woman for 3 days, Andy, and then killed her in cold blood.
Mm-hmm.
That's a different type of killer, bro.
This feels
right?
the decision she made almost feels like,
that's
and
cold.
this just from the outside, it kind of seems like somebody who's like, well, I watched enough movies, or I've read enough crime books, or I've read enough of these books to know, like, I know that like the idea of what I should do, but I don't really know all the proper steps to really get away. It's like, well, I remember what was that one movie where the person like killed the person who looked like them and they just took their identity? Oh, maybe I can just do that.
Yeah.
And then it's like you get to the next place. It's like, well, what if I go to this casino and then I put together like a team of like 12 other people and we like rob this casino?
I think everyone, right? I think most people that go on the run like this, these desperate, just snapped runs, right? Mm-hmm. I think they just have this dream of getting a bunch of money. Maybe they already have a bunch of money. That's why they were able to snap, isn't that a coincidence? Or steal it and then head to Mexico and disappear. And they think, I get over the border, I can give them my new identity. I'm just some white woman that looks exactly like this white woman on this card. Mm-hmm. Why would there be any issue with that?
Sometimes it does. I mean, yes, we've still seen cases like even in like the very modern days of people being able to make it across the border into Mexico and kind of disappear.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like the American ideal, like the old cowboy. It's like, if we can just get across the border to Mexico, boys, we'll be all good.
Yeah, it's not really how it works.
Yeah, it's like you're not just riding across the empty prairie into untamed Mexico. It's like you're crossing a border checkpoint where they ask you for your passport. There's a bunch of dogs sitting there sniffing you.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's how naive these people are. Or maybe she just didn't give a shit, Andy. Maybe she just wanted to gamble. She's just like, this is where I'm happiest. Mm-hmm. At this point in my life, she's 60-something. She was 60 years old, and she was like, fuck it.
Yeah, I think the gambling addiction was really probably the root cause of a lot of these problems. And the fact that, she says that this is what her husband said to her and it caused her to snap. And
Right.
But that's something, I personally, I don't believe that. That seems like one of those things that a person in her situation would say. But because it kind of takes some of the blame off of you that, he handed me the gun and he told me to kill myself, but instead I turned it on. I shot him. Yeah. It's like he was trying to get me to kill me. So I wanted to kill him before he hurt me. And it's like, as like I said, it's just, it feels like one of those, I'm trying to backpedal over the fact that, I picked up his gun and shot him because he was saying he was going to cut off all of my funds and I wasn't going to be able to gamble anymore.
Right.
It's like when you see the behavior of, I took $11,000 and went right to the casino.
Right.
That's like a junkie trying to get their fix.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
that's where my just speculation leans, that maybe her husband had finally was like, I'm cutting you off financially. Or like, I'm divorcing you.
More than likely. Yeah. Or you're gonna bankrupt us. Like, you got to chill out. And we haven't even talked about her being tried for her husband's death yet. In July of 2020, she was transferred to Minneapolis Steele County Detention Center to face first-degree murder charges for the death of her husband, David. She initially pled not guilty before later changing her plea to guilty just a month later. At her trial, she said, quote, "My life without David is my sentence. My heart will always be his. I should have never taken him from his children and grandchildren." And she's currently serving 2 concurrent life sentences in prison in Shakopee, Minnesota. What do you think, Andy? Shakopee?
Shakopee?
Yeah. Shakopee?
Shake and bake.
Yeah. But so that's where she's at. She's serving 2 life sentences for these 2 murders. And basically just to escape the death penalty. She cooperated.
I believe
they had
that
her dead
too.
to rights, man. They had her dead to rights. It's like, come on.
Like I might change my tune a little bit. She did plead guilty. She did acknowledge both of it. She pled guilty to both of the killings, but yes, to avoid the death penalty. So she got to live out the rest of her days, like in security to an extent. Like she's she's not. I'm guessing she's not getting sent to like maximum security, really rough prison.
And also she is very close to her family. So her family visits her in prison, and her daughter has completely forgiven her. She thinks that her mother is mentally ill and in a crazy episode snapped and killed her father. And she thinks that she is truly sorry for that.
Yeah.
And
well, she did say,
she
she suffered from an unspecified mental illness, and
that's what she said.
I'm not gonna, I will never, discredit anybody's actual mental health or mental illnesses, but it's like when you're being charged with murder and you just kind of throw out, well, I have a mental illness, and it's like, what do you have? Well, I don't want to talk about it.
Right.
That's private. It's like, well, you're being charged with murder. So
if you got one,
if you got a good excuse, we need to hear it so that we can justify or not. So
definitely she was addicted to gambling.
Yeah, and then addiction is a disease in its own time. That's its own thing. So, and it makes you do crazy things. I've seen that firsthand. So
I think there's a little bit of truth to everything. I think probably David said some awful things to her and shit, but also, her gambling was really fucking shit up for them. Mm-hmm. It really was. It was really putting a strain on their marriage. I mean, as you can see, and if she was willing to go to the point to lying about her sister to get power of attorney over her just so she could steal money from her, it's like, woof. At that point, that's a cry for help right there. Mm-hmm. That's a cry for help. Like, something had to happen, and maybe David tried to step in, and she shot him. Mm-hmm. I don't know. But I do know that Oh My Gaia is damn good deodorant.
It really is.
I do know that, Andy.
I do know. It makes my beard smell good. Makes my beard all soft and smooth.
Because there's also beard oil and scented oil.
Just makes them pits just radiate goodness all day.
Radiate the goodness of Oh My Gaia. An innovative, all-natural deodorant, fragrance, and beard oil company specializing in paraben and aluminum-free products. And there's tons of scents to choose from vanilla, cherry almond, sandalwood, lavender, lemongrass, Egyptian musk, coconut, dreamsicle, leather, lumberjack, honeysuckle, fireside, a great fall scent, and so many more, including true crime pine, also another great fall scent.
Absolutely.
The pines don't go anywhere.
No, evergreen, Mitch.
The pines shine in the fall.
Right?
You need you some true crime pine. Pair that with some fireside. You are good to go. And because you're True Crime Guys listeners, you can use the code word Creepvan. All one word, CREEPVAN, Creepvan, for 15% off your order at shop_ohmygaia on Instagram or ohmygaia.com, preferably, OHMYGAIA.com. Again, use that code word Creepvan. That's the new code for 15% off. If you're not using this code, if you're using the old one, Creeper, you're not going to get it.
Feels like that'd be a good, like,
Simple as that.
Should be a good ad right there. Just having the Creepvan going by, be like 15% off. Oh my Gaia in the van. Get the van. 15%
Right.
off.
We'll get our social media people on that.
Right. Graphics department, go.
But yeah, guys, make sure you give Oh My Gaia a follow on social media, on Instagram as well, at @shop_Oh My Gaia. That's OHMYGAIA. All right. Also, check out patreon.com/True Crime Guys. That is the #1 way to support the show. There's a link to our Patreon right below the description of this episode. And like I said at the beginning, you can get all of these episodes early, ad-free, with bonus content on Patreon on our cheapest tier. So what are you waiting for? Go check it out. There's a link right below the description of this episode. Also, make sure you give us a follow on social media at True Crime Guys. Check out YouTube, the YouTube channel. True Crime Guys. What True Crime Guys official YouTube?
Yeah, it's just at True Crime Guys.
Yeah, that's it. It's everywhere. It's simple and easy, and you can remember it. If you got a case suggestion, truecrimeguys@gmail. Boom. There you go. TrueCrimeGuys.com. If you forget all of this stuff. All right. All right, guys. Well, that's pretty much it for this week. Andy and I will catch you next week with a new True Crime Guys episode.
Yes, we will. And check out Sandu this week, guys. And please don't forget to check out Cryptic Soup.
That's right.
New episode's coming out Wednesday, the day before this episode came out. So
Right. Yesterday.
unless you were on Patreon.
And there's probably tons to binge because you didn't listen. You haven't heard them yet.
Yeah,
Maybe?
there's probably a lot back there.
I don't know.
It's a big back catalog. Lenny's got a big back catalog.
All right, we'll end it with that. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Keep on creeping.
Bye.